So today I wanted to share a little bit about the healing work, the body work that hey Rebecca, Michelle. I'm really glad to have you guys here. It's really nice to connect. I'm in my Peruvian poncho and my hood. But I just had a feeling I should go live tonight. So good to see you guys. Hey Robert. I thought I would share a little bit about the body work tonight, and it's such a simple thing, and I really break it down to like 5 major pieces, and it gets deeper than that, but I thought, why not? So the first part is the breathing, which is why my page is Hey Friend, Keep Breathing, because it's really the pump. It's the pump for life force, it's the pump for oxygen, and I feel like everyone's oxygen deprived. And why do I think this? Because we used to be outside, we used to walk, and we used to move and build things and harvest and plant stuff. We were an evolved society of being outside, and now we're not so much. And also, there's less trees, so there's actually less oxygen in the world, which is crazy. So I tell people healing requires like 3 major ingredients: food, water, air. We're just plants, really. So why don't we breathe enough? Not the outside things, one of the parts, but the other is just atrophied muscles. Most of us are in this position all day, this position all day, this position all day, instead of open and wide and pumping. So when we have these atrophied, weakened muscles, a lot of times people can't even take in a full breath. And so I'll ask everybody here, where is your breathing right now? Just take a look at it. Become a little aware of just that baseline breath. Most times it's about here, little. And then I share, and then an exhale that's slow and soft. So I'm just sharing the step 1 of healing, which is that we need the base ingredients to live: food, air, water. And I just shared a full lung capacity. And that takes some practice. It takes some exercise because it's a muscle memory. If we've been breathing for the last decade, 3 decades here, we're just not getting enough life force in. And a lot of people focus on nutrition, which is awesome. Eating more nutrient dense, real food, huge, because it becomes our cells. And then they focus on hydration, also really important because it's like flowing through our veins and coming out of our noses and snot and tears and sweat. And it's the purification system, really, water. But air is the energy. Air is life force. Air is chi. It's that which animates. It's the wind that moves us all. So breathing is truly the foundation of everything. And part of the reason why every spiritual practice says to breathe. So if everybody wants to do one right now, just one big, see where you can go, nice and soft, exhale slow. It's kind of amazing. Immediately, the nervous system starts to reset. Immediately, the fight, flight, freeze response from the brain goes from triggers, stressed, overthinking, to the neofrontal cortex. And there's a lot of studies that show that. So it is the base, it's the pump, it's the life that's going to heal everything. At least the start. Hi, guys. So thankful that you're here, going through the bodywork system of breath being the base of all healing, and why every ancient practice told us to breathe more. And now that we live in the modern society where we're stagnant, where we're still, where we're fixed in this position, all closed up, that we need to expand our breath, expand our chest. And actually, I tell people to breathe from the belly, because if you actually watch a baby breathe naturally in its sleep, or if you watch an animal, a puppy, it's all breathing from the belly because the diaphragm opens down and the lungs get bigger. So that's the first step. Hi. I am going through the base 5 steps of the bodywork system that I guess I uncovered, remembered, channeled, meditated on. I don't know. I pretty much just asked how the body heals and then listened. every day to what my body was asking for. So the baseline's the breath. Number two, our body's trying to get rid of the crap, is trying to get rid of all the toxins, the heaviness, the stinky, the smelly, the gross. But over time, society has told us, don't fart in public, don't burp in public, don't do anything disgusting in public. Girls don't sweat, girls don't poop. All these silly things that it's all been shamed and controlled. So our body is constantly trying to clean itself out through the lymph system, the urinary system, the defecation system, all of the gross stuff trying to leave. We accidentally, subconsciously, societally were programmed to control it. So here's an example. Who wants to fart in public? Anybody? Anybody? It's not socially acceptable to hawk up a loogie and spit it out. It's not even socially acceptable anymore to cough and clean out our lungs. So when we start this healing process, learning how to retrain the body, and it really is a retraining, because learning how to retrain the body to let go, to purge, to flush, the catharsis of release. And I'm talking big, ugly tears, rage cries, big sweats. And the crazy thing is, if you actually sit and do a few breaths with me, the long ones, the slow ones, the relaxing, unraveling, softening ones, your body will almost immediately start to sweat. So you can take this as an opportunity to do a little social experiment with yourself, to breathe, focusing on the exhale, sighing, letting it go. And you'll actually notice that your body starts to sweat. So if you guys want to comment below and do this along with me, it's actually very simple stuff. It's just stuff we take for granted and don't think about. So all the purgative stuff, the flush out, the yucky, it's the sweats, it's the tears, it's the farts, it's peeing. And so what's happened is, over the course of our lifetime, we've trained our body to shut it down. So let's think of the last time you needed to fart and you held it in, and all those gases that stink and are hot went back in. It really is better out than in. And that stuff is toxic. It's hot. It's inflammatory. You can feel it. It's gross. Think about the last time you tried to kick off your shoes and you got self-conscious because they stink. Every time you want to sweat, antiperspirant, all of those lymph closeout or flush outs get trapped. Every single purgative, clean out, purification process that our body is designed to have, the natural thing, has been shut down. Shut down. So it's a muscle memory, 100,000 times. Hey, teacher, can I use the bathroom? We're in the middle of the test, not till the end. Hey, Dad, we're on a road trip. I need to pee. There's not another stop for 5 miles. Every time we need to cry, and we get that hot thing, and we pull it back, and we hold it back. It just trains the tear ducts to close. So part of the healing process is letting go, literally. Letting it go, letting it flow, letting it out. So I want you guys to think of any other flush out things, even itching an itch. Like, a lot of people are afraid to itch. They're afraid to crack. They're afraid to do anything that the body was designed to do to heal. And the craziest thing is, the body knows how to heal. If we get a cut, it closes up. But when we're babies, our cuts heal in like a day. I watch my kids' skin just close back up and know how to heal itself. But over time, as we have these trainings from society that say, you're not allowed to do that, that's inappropriate, that's disgusting, how dare you, we shut it down. So first, we're just going over the healing methodology of a very simple, very logical process of how the body wants to heal and how it can heal. And that's, first, fill the body with life. Breathe more deeply, more profoundly, more softly, slowly, and fill the body with life force, wind, the closest thing to spirit that moves us. Second, let it go, let it flow, let it out. And that includes rage, that includes despair, that includes disgusting, stinky farts. All of it is trying to heal us all the time. Hi, guys. Thanks for joining. I'm really glad to see you guys here. I appreciate it. So, step one, breathe. Step two, let it out. Let the body clean itself. Step three, or part three, everything dense, hard, constricted, tight is basically a blockage not letting blood flow through it. So the body is working to get all of its fluids where they need to go. So mostly blood. Our body is working so hard to pump from the heart, pulling oxygen from the lungs and shoot it all the way down to the hands, all the way back, all the way down to the feet, all the way back every day, 100,000 times a day. It takes energy to pump the nutrients and the water and the air into the cells to give them life, to regenerate. What happens is we've got all this closed up, hardened stuff going on inside of us, and the body is going, how do I get through? And it's pushing through, and it's taking our energy, it's taking our vibrancy just to get our circulation where it needs to go. So it's really interesting. Super cool. I'm really glad to hear this is what you need to hear. And that's beautiful. Thank you for your comment and participation and hey, fire within. So the body is trying to pump this blood through the body, and it's hard and it's dense from what? Protection, stress. Every time we hold on. And what happens when we just let go? So I want to do a little experiment of focus on your jaw. Take a breath into it. By that, I mean just see it expand. Tell it to soften. Subconsciously, hundreds of thousands of times, we've closed, we've held, we've constricted, we fought against something. The second we consciously tell the body, let go, soften, melt, guess what? It'll do it. Mind-body connection is a powerful thing. But most people are so unaware of their body, they're just all in their head. So this brings back a connection between the mind and the body. It helps to give us the power to know that we don't have to take on so much. And I always say, the less we put in, the less that has to come out. So if we've been putting in tension, if we've been holding these micro constrictions that then become a muscle memory that are held, it takes time to unravel it. It takes time to undo it. It takes a practice to do that. So there's a reason that massage works. It opens the muscles. It softens the body. There's a reason that meditation works. We relax. We let the blood flow. And I betcha, even since we're in this and you've taken a couple of breaths and you've maybe noticed that you're holding your jaw or your tongue or your shoulders are up and just drop them. Our stomach's in. Let it soften. Back's tight. Let it relax. But just from that, more people are sweating because it's immediate. Because speaking to the body and giving it a space where it feels safe and noticed and heard and given the life force that it needs. So if you're new, we're talking about healing work. The main steps of healing. 1, fill it with life. Air, guys, take a breath now. Every moment's an opportunity to fill in some oxygen where we need it. And the funny part is it's one of the first things that hospitals will give you. That and like hydration fluids. So basically water and air are some of the first medicines that people will get in a hospital, and they're free. So let's take that opportunity to get that free life force. Hey friend, keep breathing. Watch the body melt just with our mind, our visualization, our noticing, our awareness that maybe we're tight. See if your foot's tapping. See if your legs are twisted up. There's so many little areas we can be holding tension that we don't even notice. So, step 1, air. Step 2, purgative. Let ugly, nasty, hot, stinky, gross stuff out of you. And I know that's not socially appropriate. I get that. So giving yourself a little bit of time through the day to relax, to settle, to open up the stomach, you'll actually notice that you'll start to fart and burp. All right. So then there's the density. No blood can flow through dense, heavy stuff. So the body's just going to work double time, triple time. And you'll actually start to see If you don't have good circulation, your body will tell you. It will tell you with really cold feet. It will tell you with really cold, clammy hands. So if your body's not getting the full nutrient, oxygen, hydration that it needs, it will tell you. Or if it's really, really sweaty, it's trying to let go. And it's the first thing that dies off. If you actually notice, it's the first area that arthritis will show up, those little hardened blockages, calcifications of joints. And it'll show you with like fungus on the toes and dead skin that won't come off. It will show you where there's blockages if you look. So there is a certain amount that's awareness of what's going on with the body that most people will say in spiritual practices, know thyself. And that's great. But we're also physical beings, and so few people have any idea of what's going on inside their body. So paying attention and awareness is a huge part because, like I said, the less tension, holding, constriction, fighting we put in, the less that has to come out. And there is a reason for density, and that's protection. This world is overwhelming, noisy, inside out, upside down, stressful. And so there's a lot of sensitive ones that have closed up to this and even disassociated from the discomfort. So being in the body can be an uncomfortable place to live, but it's so important to notice and bring our attention to what's going on inside and know thyself on a physical level. So those are the first 3 steps, but here's actually where the special sauce comes in. What I noticed was most people have problems on the inside. So what do I mean? Jaw pain, clicking, throat issues, whether it's thyroid or a saggy neck or whatever manifests in the throat, shoulder pain inside, stomach, IBS, all that stuff, hip issues, back issues. That's on the trunk, right? That's the middle of us. So most of us really want to massage and have somebody dig in right to where that issue is, which is usually right here. Let's be honest, right here in lower back. That's where everybody gets it. And that's from holding so much, carrying so much, and also freaking phones. Our body was never meant to hold all of these pounds down and use these muscles to hump up and try to hold that head from falling. So when we realign the body, it's not holding that head, which is why the scrolling creates the neck hump. But anyways, most of the issues are on the inside, right? Well, I asked, where does that want to go? If that's energy, if that's physical matter, if that's toxins, if it's inflammation, that needs to go somewhere. And this is going to seem overly simple, but what I realized is it wants to go out. Duh. So here's where I'll give an example of that. I started to push on certain places that would hurt, and I would see where it would travel and where it would go. So imagine you're getting a massage on your shoulder. How many people have had like a sore arm the next day? All of that stuff went outward. So I started to reverse engineer it and start from the outside in and ask, where is it trying to go? And I noticed all of that stinky, nasty, gross stuff is usually sweating out the hands, the pits, the feet, the head, outside parts of us. Yeah. So rather than push something that's blocked from the inside out, I start from the outside in, and I call them the doorways, where it's like a gateway that if you've got a hose, right, and that hose is filled with stones and there's fluid trying to move through that hose, it's going to hit those dense parts before it can leave. So I started on the fingertips and I started to squish and roll and just feel what was in there. So if you want to take the opportunity to take a couple breaths again, long and slow, no end, no beginning, soft exhale out, and just feel what's going on in your finger. Squeeze it, squish it, move it, kind of like clay. See what happens. Roll it on a table, back and forth, and you'll feel these little knots and crackles. So I started to work from the outside in, basically up what I call the channel, because it's actually the same thing as Chinese medicine, the meridian. And so you'll see that this is connected with this. And when you start to really connect to your body, you will feel the zing, this tingle, this heat, sometimes this itch of heat trying to get down. So I go, where does it want to go? And then I open that thing. So during a bodywork session, I'll work on people's hands for like a half an hour. And people are like, but it's this thing that hurts. I'm like, I know, just give it a second and just enjoy the hand massage. And within 5 minutes, the hand actually completely changes color. The wrinkles disappear, the swelling disappears, arthritis starts to disappear. Because all you need to do is press and break it up. I tell people I don't have magic hands. Everybody can do this. We all have hands. We just are allowed to figure out what's going on inside. So it's really just a press and roll, squish. Oh, and if you guys were following along with the story, yeah, I broke my fingers. But I have some special tricks on how to heal them. Arnica gel and it's anti-inflammatory. And then this squish and roll, stretch and crack. So what I was saying is that most people have these issues in the trunk, throat, shoulders, stomach issues, lower back issues, hip issues, and it's trying to go somewhere. And instead of working on the issue, you actually want to go down the line and see where it wants to go. And all of a sudden, you'll start to feel like itchiness on your fingertips, or it'll start to heat up. So it's subtle at the beginning. And then you'll look down and your hands are just a little softer. Your hands are a little less wrinkly. Your hands actually have a brighter, more flush color, like a more rosy color. And if you squeeze them, you'll feel that the strength comes back because soft is actually strong. So I started working from the outside in. So pretty much all of the jaw stuff tries to go out the ears. That's why they crack and pop. All of the shoulders and the chest stuff is trying to go out the hands and the armpits. And all of the stomach and hip and knee issues are trying to go out the feet. So I tell people when we're starting, start with the breath. Start to notice when your body's trying to clear itself out with a good stink fart, a gurgle, a cry, and then start to like feel and notice what's going on and start from the outside in. So open up the hands and feet with a little bit of self-massage, squish and roll. And then the last part is so density. The oxygen nutrients can't go in to regenerate the body and can't flush out the bad. And then basically, instead of working on the problem issue, I work from the outside in to give it a place to go and exit the body. And then the final part that I realized is that most people have broken joints. They have messed up joints. So when you look at all the injuries, it's twisted knees, tennis elbow, wrist problems, neck issues. So these joints were made to go in all directions, right? All directions. But how do we live in our modern society? Fixed, closed up, rigid, tight, linear. And so we have these ball joints that were meant to go this way, roll back and forth this way, go across the body. We have all of this movement that's possible. And those are the areas where all of this inflammation and toxicity gets locked in. So what I realized is it's actually the bone cracking. And so anyone who's done chiropractic and they feel that release when there's a spine adjustment, that we've got joints everywhere and that it's all of the inflammatory gas that's caught in the joints that gets stuck, that's the main blockage. And that's where they get arthritic. That's where they get so calcified and so hardened that it feels like a bone, but it's not. So I focus not just on the massage of the fascia on the first level or the muscle or the tendon stretching it, but I focus on the joints and the bone cracking. And so I love that there's like an ASMR thing of bone cracking. But if you look at those guys who crack all their parts, they're very like light and they're slender. So a lot of people feel afraid of cracking because they've been told you're not supposed to do that. But like we talked about, all of those natural body things that are trying to heal ourselves have been shamed and controlled and stopped, like the farts, like the burps, and like the cracks and like the itches. All of that stuff is trying to heal us, release things. And we live in a very hot world, a very yang is the Chinese medicine term like fire, inflammation, rage, all of those things are pretty hot. So when we think about the balance, it's about the yin, the relax, the soften, the receptive, the sigh, the let go. We need to balance this stuff because so much heat is trapped in the body, causing this systemic issue that's, I mean, pretty much every modern illness is an inflammatory illness, right? And we're talking lupus, we're talking autoimmune diseases. I've seen literally blind people see and deaf people hear, and multiple people who couldn't walk get up and walk again. I've been in one session where a woman had a pain of 9 and it was down to 1 by the end of a session. So these things seem almost ridiculously logical and ridiculously simple, but they really work together. The itching. Okay, so itching for me, this was a really important one because the other thing is our body holds density in levels and layers. So there's like kind of a superficial massage, it's just skin level. And then you get the deep tissue massage that goes really in. Well, I found out that there's a few different practices to soften tissue from the outside in. And so itching is actually first level. It's getting, if you ever itch something, the heat rises to the surface of the skin. You can actually feel that the skin is hotter after you've itched it. Well, I noticed because I'm really in tune with the different blocks and areas of my body that I work on, I noticed that as soon as I would itch, the tissue underneath would soften. So then I realized that Chinese medicine also uses gua sha, the like scraping with the rock. And I was like, that's actually pretty much just itching. So when I would say someone just asked about allergic reactions and Benadryl. Most of our modern medications shut down our body's natural purgative processes. So they're really good at getting back to work. They're really good at being productive. They're really good at shutting it down and feeling semi okay. I would not say that they're really good at healing things. So if there's an allergic reaction to a specific area, and you'll notice there are patterns that people have rashes that show up in different areas, the body is a map. The body is a guide. It's literally crystallized energy of everything that we've done and experienced. At least that's what I see. So when we have an allergic reaction to a specific place, most people with communication issues will get it around the neck. Yeah. And then, well, that's maybe because they weren't allowed to express big feelings. And so they just get kind of locked, and then there will be a trigger that will try to help release that from the body. So I would say there's a lot of other things that we can do to help support the body's natural mechanism to release. So I actually tell people to lean into the itch within reason because I know that people don't want scraped up skin. Usually I will have like a really thin fabric and I use the back part of my nail to get in there. And instead of scraping the skin and breaking the cells, I'll do more of a gua sha rub. So then you'll see that it doesn't keep coming back. If we subdue that release of the itch and the heat and the inflammation, then it will just continue to happen over and over again. If the body can release that area, soften that area, heal that area, and have whatever somatic kind of energetic emotional response that's being subdued of being like, I'm not allowed to have a big angry reaction. My parents will think it's too much. They'll yell at me. It'll be subdued. Rather than being like, hey, there must be some injustice here. How are you feeling? Maybe you're frustrated. It's unfair. Let's punch a pillow. Let's yell it out. And it's just like, be quiet. We don't talk about that. Then that neck starts to close up. So that's what I notice around neck specific inflammations. And I actually think that if it's releasing from the skin, it wants to heal. I follow and I track where my body is calling to my attention next because the body will guide us. This is the thing I'm trying to heal right now. This is the thing coming up in attention. And I bet that these flare ups and these allergic reactions are related to associated triggers in the home. So, what happens is there will be a big stressor in the house, a big blowout, and then we're not allowed to like kind of have it come to culmination. We won't allow it to kind of fulfill the cycle of what it's trying to do. And we get it shoved down and then it pops up in different ways because it's trying to get out. Most of us have so much repressed, controlled, constricted stuff that has happened in our life. And that's really the energy that I think that most of us are trying to heal is like, how do I find that safe place where I can release, where I feel supported, where I'm allowed to be as I am? And the body is going to show that in real time. So, for anybody that was tuning in, I'll just go over really quickly. Breathe, because we need to fill the body with life force. It's oxygen. It's the thing that's going to animate and give us energy. And it truly, just breath alone, I've watched people only focus on the breath work and lose weight because their metabolism now is running better. Every client that I've had has lost weight. Most people find that they have a reverse aging process as their cells regenerate, that those wrinkles, dry spots, age spots, even gray hair I've seen reverse, even balding I've seen reversed, that I am going to post this. Thank you. So those are some of the base things is just fill the body with breath and start to notice if you're holding tension. That's kind of step one. And that's work. And so I tell people not to set up insane, perfect goals. Like people are like, how much should I do of this? How many times a day? And I'm like, slow down. Let's like make this sustainable. Because for me, if I make a perfect goal and I fail, then I go into despair and then I don't show up again. So I would rather people do 3 conscious breaths a day and say, wow, that was nice. Good job. Got a little more oxygen than I had before. Amazing. Look at you. Wasn't that nice? And then turn it into a few times a day when you're on the toilet, when you just hang up the phone, if you're waiting for somebody, just take that time instead of scrolling. Go. And it's from the nose. I do it from the mouth just so it can be audible, but from the nose, slow. No end, no beginning. And why not from here, from the chest? Because this is anxious. This is tight. A baby's natural breath is from the belly, opening and softening. And that's just going to teach the body to pump more oxygen. I have some videos too on how to open up the sinuses because there's a lot of mucoid plaque and nasty stuff that gets caught in the nose because we don't blow it. And then when we get sick, it starts traveling everywhere. So I'll actually help people open the sinus cavity so that they're taking in more air from their nose because a lot of people have stuffed up chronic congestion and don't even realize it. So I tell people to breathe from the nose instead of the mouth because mouth is stress. From the nose is soft, slow, oxygenating, regenerative, and kind of creates what I call the let go state. Because we're usually like, go, 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 do, 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 do. And then the second we actually relax, usually our body gets sick. Who's ever been on vacation where they're like packing all the things, trying to catch up on work, doing all the things, and then they hit vacation and the first 3 days they're just laid flat because their body's like purging out everything that it wasn't able to while it was in go mode. So the second we hit this more relaxed, let go mode, the body will go, thank God, I can get rid of all this stuff. So creating that a little bit throughout the day as a new muscle memory, as a new training, as a new practice will just create more oxygen pumping through the system. And then the next one's awareness. Where am I holding tension? You know, the people that have the chronic lines or the people that have the chronic jaw clenching and the tongue pushed up to the top of the mouth, just notice it, not with judgment, not with criticism, but like a new energy of, oh, hey, there you are. Didn't realize I was doing that. I actually had a moment when I was in a car and I realized my shoulders were up to my ears and someone was like, you can relax. And I was like, I am. And I went, oh, got it. So there's all of these subconscious areas where we foot tap or we suck in the stomach or we just hold. So that will retrain the body that it can be at ease a little bit more. The other thing is if you're in certain arenas where you notice that you're crazy tight and you're just in full protection, like armor mode, it's really important to notice, like, What is this situation? Do I feel obligated? Who are these people? Are they draining me and sucking me dry? Are they so loud that I can't hear myself think, or they don't let me get a word in? That tends to be incredibly draining and not so healthy. So when we start to tune in to what our body state is on a baseline and then what happens in different situations, we can actually start to realize what's healthy for us and maybe what's not so healthy for us. Then giving yourself some time and energy to notice if you've got things backed up. So a lot of times women will be like, I'm really good at crying. But then when it comes to opening up the guts and having some release, uh, they'll have a really hard time with it. So it tends to be different patterns with different people and even kind of gender related. But I do want to say thank you guys for being here. I'm really, really excited that you're here. And if you want to add into the comments specific issues that you have, I'm happy to walk through a couple of these things. If you feel like it's getting too long and you want to peace out, also cool. Thanks for spending this time with me. Um, but I am happy to walk through some of these channel openers. So my plan is to, over time, show specific areas. So for example, arthritis, shockingly easy. You just crunch on the joints until they soften and you crack them. And it takes some touch to learn where those cracks are and where you want to be. So I had rheumatoid arthritis from the time I was 23, and my knuckles were huge, and I had that achy, tired hand thing, and I couldn't grip things tightly. And I just started cracking my knuckles and smushing my fingers and stretching them as well. So basically, pressure point, scratch, scrape. And then I also use one called the meat tenderizer. So how does meat get soft when you're trying to cook it? Like people will bang it with a hammer. So I'll literally do that with my own muscles and you'll see in Thai massage, they'll do that. And in different massage techniques, they'll do that. But you can actually soften your muscles just by banging on them. The other thing is you can start to just explore what's in there. Most people have no idea. Like I'll touch their body and I'll touch their nose, for example, and I'll be like, "Hey, what's going on right here in the front of your face?" And they're like, I don't know. What do you mean?" And I'll smush it and I'll wiggle it just like this, smush it, wiggle. And they're like, "Oh my God, that hurts." And I'm like, "Right. There's a blockage there." Because one thing I'll say about pain is literally just a nerve being smashed by density, calling out, "Please help me. Please help me." And then what happens is our endorphins will load up, and endorphin is endomorphine. It's the most powerful painkiller on earth, and it's within us. So that will subdue pain to a certain point. But then we find ourselves depleted. We find ourselves not feeling vibrant. And then as soon as we actually release the pain from our body, our energy levels skyrocket. And you'll start to feel way more energy and way more, yeah, just vibrancy, passion, inspiration, excitement to be alive, enthusiasm. And you're like, what? And I'll ask people, like, where's your mindset after we go through some deep kind of like pain work and find it, because usually it's numb, usually it's hardened, and there's millions of other ways to numb it. Like I said, a lot of medications are not necessarily digging into the root of the problem. They're usually covering it up or kind of shutting it down. So I'll say feel to heal, face it, be with it, sense it, don't react to it. And it becomes a mind training that you don't react to every discomfort, that you can actually sit with it, be curious about it. What is this? What is it trying to show me? So I will tell people to kind of face it. Don't be surprised if it's numb and you can't feel anything at the beginning, because how much attention do we really pay to our body other than criticizing it, controlling it, and decorating it? But when we really tune in, we start to say, like, oh, I've got this ache. And what happens too is people will take 3 breaths. Let's try it again, because keep breathing. Inhale, exhale, a little longer, soften on the exhale. Feel yourself land in your skin. Inhale, try to steam off. and people immediately start to crack your neck. So I'm wondering how many people just went, "Ooh, I've got a pain in there," and they just become aware of it because we're so disconnected from our bodies. Osteoporosis. Thank you for asking. Very similar to arthritis, but it's deeper. So it's basically all that calcification that goes past the fascia, the surface level, past the muscle and the tendon level, and actually starts to calcify around the bone. But it's not something that's unhealable. This is where some like really deep stretching. And one of the things that I'll say with stretching, most people push into a stretch. They're like, "Argh," and they're just trying to smash their body as far as they can go for the mirror, for being in yoga and competing and just being the best. And I say, don't push. Don't push into the stretch. Soften into the stretch. Literally tilt the head, let gravity do its things, relax into it. Do another one. Feel it go opening, stretch on the inhale, relax and soften on the exhale. And you do a few of those. And all of a sudden in yoga, you'll be touching your toes, bending in weird positions because it's pushing is more constriction, more force. And when we soften into it, it's actually going to allow it to stretch with that warmth. So, osteoporosis, I tell people to start with the breath work, focusing on where those pains are and where maybe they found it, and then start to stretch into the joints. So, like a lot of people do very stagnant stretches, and it's like our modern day yoga is just like very linear, very masculine, very like fixed. And I tend to have people roll into stretches, reach, roll, wiggle, because it's about loosening. And I usually go, loosey goosey, guys, loosey goosey, like let it go. And I'll use the sound, like let it go, because we're so used to forcing, pushing, controlling. And the energy that put all this crap into us is not the energy that's going to remove it. So that is a little bit on osteoporosis. That one goes deeper, it goes more layer by layer, but it's definitely healable. Definitely healable. Any other questions? Fractures on the vertebrae. So old injuries are real. Our body doesn't forget. Um, I've had people who I'm working with who'll be like, "Oh, I had this tennis issue, but it was 30 years ago. It couldn't be that." And I'm like, "It's exactly that. It never got to heal and release." So I tend to do a very different style of yoga. I have kind of a series on my YouTube that's called Comfy Couch Yoga. That's like no gear, no mirrors, no like pretty Instagram. It's just like feel into the stretch and do a weird position that I tend to just want to listen to what's the full capacity of the joint and how do I learn to soften it? So it's anything from bouncing, shaking it out. So I use a lot of different methodologies to go layer by layer, really to get a sense of safety, because most people are trying to like dig it out, cut it out, and it's all fight. And it's very brutal. And I tend to go layer by layer, kind of that outside in, where it's like, give it a way to just do it naturally, give it a way to get it out. So what happens with joint stuff is if you soften the tissue around it, the crack actually happens naturally. So you never have to push a crack. You actually just soften. And when you start to get the cracks, then you know that you're getting to those deeper levels. So I'd say if you go do a yoga class, cool, go for it. But just remember to soften into a stretch and not compare yourself, because I think the mind gets really caught up in that in the kind of public sphere. Then there's a ton of yoga videos where you just explore an area. And I'll have people just explore their jaw. So here's an example. Let's all open our mouth and do a big yawn. Oh, where's that jaw? What's the full capacity? Do you hear clicks and pops and grinding? Do you hear pops in the ears? Like, start to get to know your body and have permission to do it without all of this guidance from the outside. I learned this whole thing by just asking my body, what do you need? What would you like? And then I just explored stuff with different curiosity. I was like, what happens if you do this? And I would just they're like, "What happens when I do this?" And I would feel what the results were. And little by little, I just started seeing it's this perfect interconnected system with mind, emotions, physical self, and spirit. And the other thing is, when you start to lighten the heavy, the light comes in. So, from the spiritual side, I never plan to like do tarot or I Ching or channeling. That all just happened once my body and my antenna was tuned and light. All of that goodness just naturally happens. So that's why I try not to like tell people what to do. And there's certain things that I can show the way, but I want people to have permission to heal themselves. It's all there. We've just disconnected from this incredibly intelligent, evolved system that's part of the earth. So I hope that helps a little bit. I won't tell people things that they have to do or need to do. I'm like, tune in, sit with a few breaths, ask yourself a question, and listen. And what's shocking is when we're connected to the heart and a little bit of stillness, it will tell the truth and it will guide us exactly where we need to go. So that's my theory on it, but I'm obviously happy to share the things I've picked up and the patterns that I've picked up and why they work. I think more than anything, I want this information to be accessible and logical and not so woo woo, but that we start to actually feel energy moving through us in the form of tingles and twitches and sweats and kicks, that these things are energetic. That's energy moving through us. Turns out we're an electrical system. The EKG, the MRI, they're literally the resonance of a magnetic electrical system. So when all the hippies are like, yeah, energy, I'm like, I mean, it's literal. There's a literal aspect to it. So is there anybody else that has any issues, whether it's, you know, the other thing I will say, I never want people to come for the superficial results because there's a certain depth that we need to go into to feel things that are hard to see. And when people come in and are like, "Hey, Megan, I want to lose weight," and I'm like, why? Is it just to create selfies and feel hot? Like, I'm not interested in working with clients that are wanting that. Um, I want people who want to feel better, want to feel alive, want to feel aligned with their life purpose and excited to be here on planet Earth. Um, and want to go into the depths of truthfulness because you have to be kind of truthful with yourself and comfortable to face some gnarly stuff beyond the farts and the tears. Breast cancer. So, energetically, breast cancer. I'm going to slow my breathing down a little bit. Breast cancer is very much a maternal, feminine issue. We live in a society that has not always been kind to women, not always been kind to mothers. And this is our life beating organ of femininity. So when we've had an issue along the maternal lines of a mother who was controlling, hypercritical, narcissistic, or checked out, depressed, not there for us, not feeling safe against that soft embrace of being held by the mother, it can show up in the uterus. And so that's why a lot of women have like hip issues and lower pouch stuff, because that whole band is feminine and then the breasts are feminine. And, it's just crazy that like men and women both have nipples, but women showing nipples is, you know, not socially appropriate, and put those away. And who do you think you are? And all the weird judgments and criticisms that come from society. So, a lot of times when we have breast issues, they're related to feminine issues, maternal issues, and can have issues around like fear of being a mother, not feeling like you're a good enough mother. And then the other one is antiperspirants. So, antiperspirants are going to lock up the lymph glands right here. And all the toxins that build up around heart issues, lung issues, which is grief, heart, which is like vibrancy, passion, wanting to be alive, joy, all of that stuff is right here around the heart. And I'm actually getting with this breast cancer issue a throat issue, like a closing up and not wanting to talk about it and not being able to voice truthful things that women see. Whereas, like, she shouldn't say that. She shouldn't act like that. She shouldn't talk like that. Women have been very constricted, and like, let's look back historically at the the corset, ladies. Um, that was squeezing women around their power center and their breasts to create a more shapely figure for men and completely cutting off all power. And they were also faint because they couldn't breathe. So when we look back at historically how women have been treated in this world, it shows up a lot in breast cancers. But I would say that the lymph buildup of not wanting to sweat, not wanting to stink, that all those toxins do start to travel into the breast. So for healing for breast cancer, and I always say, like, cancer is this concept of I can't serve, that there's a victimization, there's a blame, there's probably been abuses as well, like very legitimate abuses, but they can turn into empowerment and transformed, or they can turn into victimization of it's everybody's fault and it's I'm a victim of this system. So yeah, breast massage, lymph massage through here, sauna sweat so your body can sweat out toxins. There's a lot of different things that you can do. And then a lot of that is going to be traveling out of the hands from the breast. So many times for breast cancer, I do like to work on more emotional levels and channeled levels to bring out messages because they can even be ancestral issues as well. So thank you for bringing that up, Rebecca. And if anybody has questions at this time of different physical ailments, pains, emotional stuff, bring it up and I can talk a little bit about the pattern. I can kind of shine light on some of those areas. And for anybody who has just joined in, I've been giving kind of the basic 101 for the healing methodology that I use that pretty much breaks down to put more life force in, put good in. Breath is the base of it. Let the ugly out, which is the stinks, the farts, and the cries, the rage, and all of the things that have been repressed and held back. And then take all that tight stuff and learn how to soften it. And remember that all of the pain, toxins, inflammation from inside is trying to go somewhere. So start from the outside in so it has a place to leave. And then focusing on those joints. And if you see any like acupressure or Tai Chi pressure points, they're almost always in the joints. So those are kind of the 5 basic ones. And then we get into levels of endorphins numbing us, being disconnected from the body. And for me, the body is the physical vessel. In terms of yin and yang, yang is like fire and heaven and masculine energy. Yin is this physical vessel. And so when we connect back to the physical body, we're connecting back to the feminine energy. And that's for whether you're a man or a woman. But that energy has been kind of out of balance in the world. You're so welcome, Rebecca. And I hope that resonated and made some sense. There are deeper levels to that one, but I'm not going to go into the full channeled message. There is some ancestral stuff for that one. And you can kind of see it in the pattern of daughters and sisters and how they respond to that energy. Heartburn. Heartburn is a few different things. One, it's right at that solar plexus, and it's basically having things. Our body's meant to flow in certain directions, letting things out and down. The heavy always wants to go out and down. You'll actually see that sweat drips. Feet get really heavy and stinky and hot and are the first things to have issues for most people. Root issues, stuff like that, hips. Heavy goes down. So when we've had something happen to us where we reverse that system and it's starting to come up, heartburn's basically all of that heat coming out the wrong way. It can tend to mean that we've not allowed ourselves to let things go out. So especially for women with stress, it's a lot of empowerment issues because it's right around that solar plexus and heart. It's a lot of heat that doesn't get to get out. I don't think very many people are allowed to like really let themselves go like bonkers, crazy, rah, like rage mode and like feel what they feel. So that heat gets really caught. But I am seeing for this one, it's whenever there was a digestive issue, rather than letting it take its course and float out and down, um, like here's a good example for modern medicine being like, let's make this tidier and so you can get back to work and you're not offensive out there, like smelling. Anti-diarrhea, just shut it down. And so when our body has the need to get stuff out, it'll close up when we take anti-diarrheal or like things like that, where it can actually flush out. So it's usually related to different IBS issues, not being able to poop, like constipation issues, um, basically holding back on the ugly stuff energetically. Like if we're a person that doesn't want to like rock any boats or like offend anyone, and it just, and culturally we've been taught that we hold all the ugly in. And so when we start to kind of face the ugly and get the system to flow back down, now I will say, in terms of heartburn, like there's a lot of dietary things that are inflammatory that you can cut back on. You can definitely just have a little bit of baking soda that will alkalize all those acids that are burning everything. So there's some pretty quick, simple things to just recalibrate the stomach acids. But on an energetic level, there's a lot that we need to face. That's the ugly shit. So that can be, and I'm seeing that like as a family pattern for this one, but this might be like a sweep it under the rug family. We don't talk about it. We don't want things to get too ugly. We don't want to offend anybody. And so that can show up in like not being able to poop and not being able to like move food and nutrition down and out and then face around shit. So I hope that made sense. Thank you guys for staying on and being here. If there are any other questions about major patterns, I know a lot of people are having tinnitus. That one's a lot of jaw tension, the masks we wear, not wanting to hear certain things. And that one's really fixed with a lot of jaw stretching and yawn breath and things like that. I'm so glad it was accurate. The body is wise. A lot of these things I don't even channel from the ancestors. There are a few here. That's another part of what I do, I guess. But the body patterns are just so consistent of like people that have the type A neck of like, I got everything, I control everything, I've got to carry everything, nobody else can handle things. Like their shoulders just go straight up to their ears. And I call it the type A, type A neck, and it just turns into an A. Things like that. Like I said, the tinnitus in ears tend to be what we don't want to hear, or just being highly sensitive to noise and having a world that's insanely loud. So, for people that are highly sensitive and find like nerve issues and migraine issues, I tell people turn it all down. Literally, turn the lights down, use yellow lights, turn your volume down. There's a reason that your body will just shut down and be like, must have darkness, will not be able to like have any noise, any inputs of any lights going in, because it's the nervous system being like, I am a perfectly tuned electrical system, and now all of a sudden then in the modern age we are bombarding it with electromagnetic radiation, which is a real thing. I did a science project in 10th grade where I was like, whoa, EMR, EMF, we have never been bombarded with so much light, noise, pollution. So for a lot of sensitive ones, we need to turn it down. We need to like, I will literally have one candle on and turn down the volume, turn down the brightness of my screen, because we were never, ever meant to have this much electrical radiation, mechanical noise bombarding us at every given time. And I find a lot of really sensitive people end up moving from cities and really loud, fast environments because they actually know that it's incredibly toxic to all of us, but their system is still aware of it and goes, I can't. So I don't know if that makes sense to any of you guys there. I have a feeling it does. But there's a reason that I slow my voice down, I bring my voice down, and I turn the volume down so I can tune my ears to the subtle and the soft. And yeah, all this stuff, guys, all this modern stuff, it's like 2 generations old.